Blessings, everyone. I'm coming on today. So I have a pretty powerful message. I've been getting some pretty powerful situations happening to me, and I need to share. For those of you that don't know me, hi, I'm Ashley. I'm a higher self channeler. That means I speak to higher selves. That means I speak to ancient beings. That means I speak to a lot of different entities in a lot of different faraway places. And I don't care. Actually, I do care, because I hope that you guys all feel this way, where you feel like you can connect to any of those entities, be it your ancestors, be it angels, be it any of, let's say, for example, starseeds. You feel like you're interconnected with your kind. Let's just put it that way. And there's no shame in that. That's what Ascension's about. Because to deny that Chosens feel a certain way about where they originate from, and some of you that are Chosens may feel like you originate more so to do with angels and, like, let's say, the biblical sense of things, let's say Yeshua and God and all of that. But at the same time, understanding that the encompassment and knowing what the all is and the I am presence means that it is a larger landscape, definitely a larger landscape. And I've got a lot of things to talk about today, because some interesting downloads came through, some interesting situations came through. I might do some cards. We'll see what happens. But I wanted to preface this with saying, because I do truly feel like the 40 days and 40 nights is on us. It's happening. I talked about it in the last video. It's about judgment. It's about testing. It's about revelation. It's about prophecy. It's about overturning. It's about all of the different things that transpired with all of the different prophets, etc., that experienced that 40 days and 40 nights. But I truly feel like this is one that all of us that are starseeds and or empaths, 144, whatever you resonate with best, because there's so many of us here to uplift and uphold this whole ascension situation. And right now, I feel like I've gone through a feeling, and every time I talk about these feelings, I try to put terms on it. What I'm talking about right now with this 40 days and 40 nights is an energetic understanding of what is transpiring, at least from what I see as a higher self channeler. So I'm not only, an understanding of angels, I'm not only an understanding of Yeshua, I'm not only understanding of certain Devic beings, I'm not only in touch with a lot of different avatars. I truly feel like everything I try to express is so that it's tangible, it's digestible, it's something that everyone may understand. So why I refer sometimes to the Bible is because this kind of foreshadows things that may be occurring here in this present place. And I do feel like it was a tool that was given to us to kind of understand different things and different ways of being. And sometimes when God does speak with me, he does point me to the Bible. So I do go all over the place, but that doesn't take away from the other dimensional and, let's say, a galactic sense of what's happening. Because in these last weeks, I can say I haven't asked so many times to go home as I have in these last weeks. I've been like, please take me home. Please, can I go home? I want to go home. That's all I've been saying. I want to go home. And in some ways, the reason why I think I want to go home is because I feel like it's so tangible. It's so close. And this might be happening for some of my brothers and sisters right now, feeling like an intense connection with something so close to us happening. Or at least, like, okay, I'll put it in this standpoint. Let's just say, for example, galactically, if you have galactic ties, and a lot of us do, and I mean a lot of us, genetically, our predisposition is to have ancient blood ties to a lot of different ancient species. I don't care what you think or say. I do care what you think or say, in the sense that I hope you guys can understand that this is even more ancient than what the Bible provides. However, even persons like Yeshua also had different ties, and I don't care if people don't believe that either. Same thing that goes for any of our older ancient gods, goddesses, prophets, etc. They all had ties to very old lineages. Okay, so I do feel like for those of us galactically, let's say, and some of our lineages may be present watching over us too at this time. One of my subscribers even said the feeling he was feeling, I'm not going to name names, was that Anubis was here doing the weighing, of those right now, or the balancing, or the, it was like a balance of a feather versus the heart of the person to see if they would make it through or be dragged down. And I do feel like there is a sense of like that happening. And Anubis, for those of you that don't know who that is, that's a ancient Egyptian god of justice, of the netherworld, of many things, but mainly to do with weighing of the hearts of man. So I do feel like that is what's transpiring on us right now. I've said this with the 40 days, and I'm adding to it right now. That's what I do. I'm always talking about the energetic changes that are happening, taking shape and place in this ascension journey. Because I also feel like I was in a stage for these last years where in which I went through different trials and tests. And these are not the tests that I am saying are occurring right now. The tests that I feel like we are all going through right now have to do with what and who we are presently, being shown scenarios and situations to see if we would take different steps now, knowing what we know or having that awareness. Did we have the awareness back then? And it's like as if the test is more coming from a place of understanding us. So it's like as if like we're being walked through different scenarios to see how and what our imprint was on the situation. And I'll explain what I mean by this, because truly I feel like I was going to take this video in a direction for the last day. Like last night I was coming up with ideas and I was feeling like this whole judgment, testing, etc. was taking place. And it was really to talk about how a lot of us have been scorned or hurt or whatever the case may be throughout our lives. And there's this overturn and there's this change happening across all levels. It could be from very high-end levels to lower levels. And what I mean by levels is like, let's say, even when you look at regality or when you look at higher ranked families, predominantly here that do run our world, CEOs, tech heads, etc., those that run money, you know, principalities, etc., that exist in our world, you know, government heads all the way down the ladder, right? This feeling of this, like, sifting of what's happening, or this, like, you know, I said the checkerboard, the weighing and the balancing is taking shape. And I know that for myself in the last little while, I feel like I've been put in situations where I have to see something from the past, like a culmination of good tidings or let's say good doings or good wills. And another thing that I've been tested on a lot has to do with my attitude, or what I'm affixed in, or what I'm affixed about, or what I'm like. And what I mean by affixed is like our trajectory in life is always towards certain goals. It doesn't matter who you are. Like a lot of us, you know, will sit in our lives and say, hey, you know what, I want to have a family, I want to, you know, build a home, build legacy, build this. That's one way of looking at your asphyxiations, or what you're affixed in, or thought process that you look forward to in your trajectory of life. Okay. And then there's the other version, which is like, it's not as glamorous as that, right? Some people don't find that glamorous. And then it's to do with just like certain versions of their own pride and what their pride has amounted to. And then pride is not only just a bad thing, it can be a good thing too, to be prideful of one's appearance, how their work ethic looks in the world, etc. That's a form of pride I'm talking about. And when I say ego, there's also positive ego, meaning that certain strides and steps you took in building your life and shaping your life, or where your trajectory are going. There's different versions. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody wants the building and legacy situation. Okay. But you could also build a legacy with your company, your etc. So there's always, but it's done more through the pride and the ego. And I don't mean to take it in a negative standpoint, but it's like as if to say, like, this is the trajectory, how you're getting there. And I keep doing this because this is how I feel it's happening. The next point I wanted to say is that first part was about attitude, your attitudes towards your fixed trajectory. Then it's the culmination of good tidings or good wills. I've been noticing that a lot, because it's like I've been getting into situations where I'm running into people that I have slighted, or scenarios that I've had to revisit places I've slighted people, and then having the same thing happen to me, where those that have slighted me have been put in my path, and then to see, like, given the second chance, right? In a sense, like, is the exchange good, or is it of goodwill at this time, knowing that you're given this chance or opportunity to do it? So that's what I've been noticing, is that that's what's happening to me a lot lately. And I will say what I mean. So one day I was walking, and I happened to be in an area that I walk once in a while, but not too often. And I stood in front of an old school friend's house of mine. It was a school friend of mine, no longer there, no longer living there. And I was standing out in front of her house, and I was being shown the last memory I had with her, and it was not a good one. She had gone through some, let's say, illness before she moved houses and left the area entirely. And the last memory I have of her is her expressing how poorly I was a friend to her in her life. And I felt horrible and horrified at that moment. This was when I was in my early teens that this transpired. So you could see it was a big chunk of time. And I was being asked, and when you say who was asking me, it was like as if I was having this conversation with a higher-ended being. And when I mean higher-ended being, this could be anything of an angelic form and anything of a galactic form. I just know that they came from a higher dimensional way of being, and I felt like I was being asked certain questions, and that rolls back into that whole Anubis thing. I'm not saying that it was Anubis, but I'm saying I'm being allowed to expand and express in this time what I would have done differently, or where was my standpoint of why I wanted to do differently. The mechanics of it. That's what I was being asked, was the mechanics. It was like how was I going to move in this situation as I'm trying to make this resolution in my mind about how I slighted this person. Okay. And I was being kind of perceived in a way, like, was I doing it, or was I feeling like I had to say sorry out of duty to being a good person, or out of duty of like what's best for society, right? Or was it out of a place of due diligence, meaning like due diligence, like investigating how and what I did, or how and what she did, and attempting to understand her better. So there was this feeling that at the time when I thought of this woman's house, that I was like, okay, like if I was given that time again, I would definitely have invested more in her, solely because I do feel like I didn't do the right thing in my course of action, my mechanical course of action. And I was in the wrong, and I truly feel like I did not understand where she was coming from enough to be sympathetic enough to see her state of view. And that's what happened for me in one situation. Another situation was on the other side of someone who had slighted me. So there was this, again, couple from my elementary school. Okay. I would run into them frequently throughout our lives as adults. But the thing was like after elementary or whatever the case may be, I would see them here and there because they were a very young couple. Like they got together really young. And for some time in these last years, I've been feeling slighted since I moved back into the area. Mind you, I was living in a totally different part of Toronto. So when I moved back to my mom's area, I literally was being faced with these people from my past a lot. And so when I was running into them, it was like as if they were slighting me and just not paying attention to me. And it was hurting my feelings over time because I was like, what did I do to you? I thought I was pretty cool in elementary. We were friends then. What's the difference now, right? So in the last week, I literally have run into these people 4 times, like literally like right in the face. Like it was like one time was like a car was pulling out of a parking lot when I was at Walmart, and they were behind the car. So they had no choice but to see me. Like that's how, so in a weird way, it was like when they ran into me and they had to face me, they did face me. It was a different challenge. It was a different test. It was like, given the chance to really face this head on, how would we handle it? And it was like as if these guys, like this couple, was being given that second chance to maybe fix things with me, because maybe they also felt like things were weird for all these years. And when I stood in that space with them, I felt a huge release, because I was like, wow, like we are still friends. Wow, like we do still care about each other. Wow, like, you know, this was just a point in time, and now we can move forward. And that was a huge healing that I felt in my heart when this like took place. So the feeling was like we were given that second chance, and that's how things evolved. And it happened repeated times. It was like the first time was the shocking time. The second time was just like, hey, you again. And then the third and fourth was more of like the building blocks, like, okay, we're going to reconnect. So it was kind of really beautiful, but I do feel like I was being watched to see what my sensations were when I experienced this release. It was like I was being asked questions like, oh, did that make you feel better? Did that solve some of your issues? It was like there's this presence around me, or this energy or this spirit around me that feels like they're monitoring or asking questions to see what will help our hearts, what will help our spirit in this time. So I do want to just, impose that part. But aside from all of this, okay, I also was asking Dad, God, what is taking place on your end? Because I do feel like we're being reviewed and seen by Spirit and God and everything at this time. And not just that, I think galactically, because that's why I feel like I keep reaching up so close. Like, oh, my ship is here. I feel like they're home. I'm almost close to home. Like there's this feeling of like everyone's here. And it's like, I feel like I just feel like, oh, can we just go? I don't know how else to explain that. But so today when I went to the grocery store with my son, which I do every weekend, I kept seeing somebody that had plastered, and I swear it was like 15 different instances just in the short span of like 5 minutes that I was like, okay, I can't deny it. I even have pictures. I don't need to show you. But it was for the verse Daniel 5:5. Okay. So I want to read this out, but this was the whole line that I started this video with, which I have not gotten to yet. And the reason why I'm saying this is because not only do I feel like we're being watched and monitored to see how we are doing, or to see what we may be needing, or to see what needs to be cleared from us at this time. This actual like ditty was beautiful, and I think it spoke to what I was talking about previously with, you know what kills me is like I literally had this open and then I closed it right on myself, but I got it. Okay, so Daniel 5:5. You guys want to see the picture? No, forget it. It was beautiful because it was like as if exactly what I was saying about how the 40 days, how there's this overturning, how we are, you know, seeing things unravel. The line starts off with the writing on the wall. So it's immediately the fingers of a human hand appeared and began writing on the plaster of the wall of the royal palace next to the lampstand. Now, for those of you that watched my last video when I was talking about revelations, lampstands, it's another part of the revelation, so this correlates. Okay, so lampstands, I'm imagining is that this is a pivotal time of like, you know, when you bring a flashlight and you flash it, like when the cops come and flash it out and expose things, that's basically what I think lampstands represent. So this writing on the wall by some enormous hand coming out of, you know, out of nowhere to write it, God's hand in a sense. Okay, writing on the royal palace next to the lampstand, the king was watching the hand as it wrote. Then the king's face turned pale and his thoughts terrified him. Why would you be terrified unless you've done a lot of bad stuff, right? His limbs gave way and his knees knocked together. The king cried aloud to bring the enchanters, the Chaldeans, the diviners, and the king said to the wise men of Babylon, whoever can read this writing and tell me its interpretation shall be clothed in purple, given a necklace of gold, and stand third ranking to me in this kingdom. So this king was willing to give anything for this rectification of understanding what the judgment was, or what the writing on the wall was, by this enormous, you know, godly being. Because obviously he must have recognized it himself. That's the funny part about this. Why would you be in fear or peril if, let's say, for example, why would your gut resonate with that automatically? Why did you need someone to tell you and solidify it? It's something that you were innately already knowing. So that's kind of what I also picked up from that too. Tell me the interpretation shall be clothed in purple. Okay. Then all the king's wise men came in, but they could not read the writing or tell the king the interpretation. So none of them could do it. Then King Belshazzar became greatly terrified, and his face turned pale, and his lords were perplexed. It goes on, but I'm just trying to say, to give you context, like this is what it is saying. And what I found interesting was, like, that's what, you know, God was pointing me to, was this exact writing on the wall. But how it intrigued me too is this whole idea and tie in with Babylon, the lampstand, Revelations, me thinking that this whole Middle East thing is tied to this too. And it's like as if saying, like, you know, the line's being shone on this as well. And the king, that of which, you know, oversees Babylon, which we all know, I don't need to name names if you get my drift of who this person is, might be getting exposed and needing to feel like the writing's on the wall. So they're in a corner and they're needing to resolve this. And this writing on the wall is how I've been feeling. It's like everything's being exposed, everything's being overseen and overturned. And I've been trying to elaborate on what this energy feels like, and I've been trying to elaborate on what's transpiring behind the scenes, in front of the scenes. The veil is getting very thin as we speak right now. There is so much connection going on, so many people turning on, so many people understanding what our place is here, and why I'm saying this whole thing about the testing and or the understanding and or the prophecy that is coming across all of us right now is feeling so more and more profound every day that we walk this path. And why I say I'm not only about the Bible. Yes, Dad did show me this passage to say that I am here with you guys now. Some of us are starseed. Some of us are 144. Some of us are empaths. I don't care where you originate from. I don't care where you resonate from. We all know that we're under the guise of the one all infinite I am that I am. So I myself know that angels are very close resonance for those of us that are 144. But if you are a starseed, or you could even be from another time or place, All I want to say is that you are a soul sister or brother that came to do this work, that came to be here right now for this epic overturn of evolution that we're all going through. And as a result of this evolution that we are partaking in, so is the rest of the, like, I don't want to say universe, but galaxies are involved too. Not only do different galactic beings have their children here right now participating in this, so does a lot of divine, like, stated realms of being and consciousness have a lot of their souls imprinted in this place right now too. Some of us don't come from this dimensional space as a soul seed. Let's put it that way. Some of us don't even come from the same times. There are people on this planet that know that they don't resonate with this time. Some of them feel like they come from different times. But what we can all take away from everything is that it doesn't matter which way, like I said, we get up this mountain. We're all getting up the mountain together. It doesn't matter where we come from. A lot of our interstellar connections are presently coming closer and closer. And that's why I feel like I'm always like, oh, beam me up, Scotty, take me home. You know what I mean? Like, I'm feeling that more and more and more. And I feel like, just like the king, you know, knowing wholeheartedly that the writing on the wall was bad for him, I feel like I'm crying out for home because I feel like home's coming closer to me. So I feel like at the same time, it's like a lot of us starseeds, 144, we're feeling like as if like this is taking hold of who we are in our entirety as well. We need this aid, we need this help, we need this understanding, we need to, you know, really keep marching on with the beat of our own drum, not really staying attentive to everything that is negative trying to hold us back from our journey, our destiny, everything that we're trying to culminate into. And I feel like, yes, we are given this opportunity right now to go through this 40 days, because the 40 days is when it doesn't matter what prophet it was, it doesn't matter who endured the 40 days, they came out of it a lot more enlightened, a lot more ready to take on and take hold of everything they needed to do. The inspiration was there, the enlightenment was brought to them. So this is going to be a huge time of change for us in this next little while. And I do want to say, if you are somebody that feels really tightly bonded to a star system, a star, you know, a star path, a star pattern, a star family, a star kind, let's just put it that way, please know, like, at least even here in Canada, do you know, like, almost every time, like, I even just swipe it, I see, like, there's so much activity going on, it's ridiculous. Not here in Ontario, here in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Alberta, name it, name a province. You know, not only do we have a Stargate over in Alaska, you know what I'm saying? And whatever. I'm just trying to say is, like, everything is culminating to a point that we're getting where we need to go and through the places. Like, I know that I go to the Bible, but if the, you know, God chose me to go to the Bible, I go to the Bible. But I know in my heart of hearts, I wouldn't be screaming out like a little girl, let me go home. I've never done that in this whole last 2 years, but now I feel like somebody's going to hear me. Okay? And I can't deny that feeling. So I don't know about you guys, but if you guys are feeling like things are getting closer and closer and closer to being revealed, understood, turned over, justice is being served, justice is being understood, I do believe that as we unite in all of our due diligence for ourselves, we're going to really take hold of the things that we are destined to see. Because there needs to be a balance that's brought forth against and upon this planet. Because the balance is something energetically that cannot be denied. Having this opportunity to revisit, redo some of these things in our lives is going to speak volumes to how we evolve ourselves. So I just wanted to leave off with this. I don't know if I should do any more because I feel like it's been a long day. But maybe I'll do the card tomorrow. Maybe I'll come on live tomorrow. I busted up my camera on my new phone. Okay, look at this shit. Okay, my whole camera got cracked. I just bought it. So I'm going to see if I can do a live with this older phone. I think I can, but let's figure it out. But I think we're all coming into this beautiful equilibrium of understanding because the justice needs to flow through everything at this time. And I'm not just trying to be colloquial or, you know, just put a rounded understanding, but I feel like it's not just that. It's like a tipping of the tide, like the, you know, the tide overturning. All of these things that I say are just to be understood, digestible, and to be made aware that you're not the only one in this feeling and way of being. Because some of you may be feeling lethargic. Some of you might be feeling a whole different version of experience. You might feel like you're unraveling, you're unfolding. You might feel like you're falling apart, you're coming together, compressed, stretched. Whatever way you want to put it. But what I will say is that in this particular time, I haven't been asked many questions. I haven't been really put into situations as many times as I have in this last little while as to where and what and who and how I want things to take place. Me personally, And I'm saying, I feel like you guys are being asked these things too. And I feel like we're being heard and we're being seen. And there's more of our galactic family waiting and watching over us and shaping some of our decisions now. And also at the same time too, God's like expressing it through Daniel 5:5 that the writing's on the wall for those participants in this particular time, using the lampstands to shine on certain situations that are going on in this world. None of this is not being seen. This is all being seen. So I just want to say peace out, love for all, one love. Oh, like, share, subscribe. We're all in this together. Peace be with all of you. Bye for now.